Now that you have played around with the functions, what we are going to do is to build a small application in which we are going to use all the things we have learned so far. So open the Xcode and create a new Xcode project, and this is going to be a single view application. Click next, and I'm going to call this dog age. So what we're going to do is just keep everything as you have already set up, and I hopefully you have done some your initial setups here. Make sure the language is Swift and click next. I'm going to save this in my iOS Bootcamp folder. Click create, and this is our standard application here. So I'm going to close these folders because they are not going to be used. What we are going to do is to build a age calculator for the dogs. So we are going to have a application that when we input our dog age, it will tell us how many years this is in human years. So in our storyboard, we are going to start using our user interface to build some elements here. So if I open my library here, we're going to need a text field. You can just type text field here in the search to bring it out, or you can just scroll there. So if I take a text field, and I'm just using the blue guidelines here to enlarge it, and then this is where our user will input the age of our dog. Then we're going to have a label. I drag a label here, and I will explain you the difference between the text field and the label. So let's enlarge this one as well. And also we are going to need a button. So this is going to be our calculate button. Again, I'm using my blue guidelines. So the text field is where when you want the user to input some information in the text field. The label, user cannot interact with this, you cannot input some value here, but this is very useful to display something to our user. So we're going to input the dog age, and then we're going to do some kind of calculations, and we're going to return the human age, and we're going to display this in our label. And to do this, we're going to use the button here. It's like a function call. So when we click on the button, it's going to do the calculation and present our label. So let's select our text field and go to our attributes inspector here and see what options we have for our text field. So in order for our user to understand what this input field is for, we have a placeholder. And on top you can see the default text. If I put something here, it will have a text by default, but this is not what we want. We want it to have a placeholder. So we say dog age. So let's see, the placeholder is there, so our user can see what he has to input here. And then we have other parameters like text alignment. I want to keep it on the left. I think if you keep it this three dots here, natural, this is going to take the default settings of iOS. So if it's a left hand or right hand text, it's going to use this one. So it's always good to keep on the side here. Then we have the color of the font, the size of the font. We're not going to play with it. We have a background. Under the text input, we have some kind of options here. The keyboard type, the smart quotes, smart insert, etc., the return key, the capitalization. So what we want to do, because our user is going to input an age here, which is number, we don't want the user to put some kind of text here. So let's choose the keyboard type to be the number pad. So our user will see only numbers as an option to put. He will not have a text there, an option. Then if we select our label, you will see that we have different options for our label as well. What I'm going to do is to select my color. I want it to be red. So our label text is red. Also, I want to align it in the middle. The next is our button. Again, if we don't want to keep the name as button. If you want to rename a button, you can double click on it, just rename it, or you can select your button and come under Attributes Inspector and just rename the button name. So I'm going to call this Calculate. So we have these three user views that we are going to present to our user. What I'm going to do is just run my application now in my iPhone 8 simulator, and let's see if this will show on the screen, because we're not going to do anything else for now. We're just going to test if the view that we have added is going to be available on our simulator's screen. Let's give it a few seconds until our simulator is running. This is running now. And we have a new application here, dog age. Now we see the splash screen, and then it moves into our application. So you see our dog age here, and when I click on my dog age, my keyboard appears, and this is giving us option to put numbers only. If your keyboard doesn't appear, it means that it's set so you can type on your computer. Right now, if I type on my computer, it will not accept the numbers. I need to type on this virtual keyboard. If you want to bring the keyboard, set the keyboard to work on a computer keyboard, you can go to hardware keyboard and set this to connect hardware keyboard. So this software keyboard won't be visible anymore, but if I click on anything on my keyboard here, it's going to add to the text field. But the only thing is I can also add string characters now, not only numbers. But this doesn't affect our application, because in reality we are going to run the application on an iPhone, and our keyboard will be visible as a software keyboard, and it's going to be only numbers there. So we can use the shortcut as well. You can see it's Shift Command K in order to connect the hardware or software keyboard. Alright, so this is the user interface of our application. In our next lecture, we are going to see how we can connect these things, so we get these user elements, so we can interact with them.